Hey, all, Brad here with another quick video. This is a follow-up to the previous video. If you go back in the YouTube history, you can see I made a ROM adapter, replaces the ribbon cable on the ROM board so you don't ever have to desolder if there's a future failure. It's just plug on each end. I'll show you that real quick. In the last video, I mentioned making up like a bridge board, PCB that would eliminate the need for a ribbon cable altogether. And I've got that done. Those boards came in. I populated a few of them. I'll show you a couple different configurations. I designed it in such a way they can be used for different things. If you're somebody that repairs boards or troubleshoots or works on them, or you maybe do a lot of testing of Williams boards, you can reconfigure this PCB I had made up to serve those purposes. So let me switch over to the also to USA. It's tomorrow's 4th of July, 2026. So got the appropriate shirt on. So let me switch over to the bench cam, and I'll go over here. Let me get out of my chair. So real quick, let me kind of adjust the camera here a little bit to show you what we got. So again, original ROM board here. You can see it's got the regular ribbon cable, and this header on here is soldered to the board. It's an IDC. I've mentioned that in the other video, insulation displacement connector. And what I came up with is a little adapter here that when you desolder that, you solder this in its place, and then at that point, you were able to just use a cable with the connector on each end that you could easily swap out. And what I came up with, essentially, instead of using that to bridge the gap, it's just a PCB here, pretty simple. Everything's straight through, and there's 3 rows for a total of 40 pin headers. 2 by 20 is what they call that. And depending on how it's configured. So the first configuration is literally I'm just somebody that wants my game to work and don't want to deal with the ribbon cable anymore. They're prone to failure. So this just bridges from the ROM board over to the MPU. The holes here you don't even need to populate. You could use those with a oscilloscope or a multimeter probe if you wanted to look at certain channels on here. They're all laid out and labeled accordingly, one through all the odds on the top and the evens on the bottom. So you get 1 through 39 and 2 through 40. And then another configuration here that I'll probably use on the bench is where I've populated that center with a header. So then I can use clips or probes to put logic probes on for troubleshooting, run to my oscilloscope or logic analyzer, and then I can still have the data running between the two. So I'm kind of what they call sniffing the signals, right, as the game's trying to run or running. And then the other configuration here, and I'll show you these on the board here in a minute, where you just populate the one end. So you plug this into the MPU over here, and then you plug your ribbon cable. If it's still a board, with the original ribbon cable, I do prefer those still because they're more original. But then you can plug your ribbon cable back into this first header, and then that exposes this whole second header here for troubleshooting with the scope or whatever, right? And it also makes these much easier to unplug this board to lift off than trying to finagle the ribbon cable out of there. So those are the configurations. When I had these made, I also had one made out of a flexi PCB that would allow for misalignment, but I'll tell you what, the thing is so thin and flimsy. I did populate one. It does work, but it's just kind of chintzy feeling, and I don't like the yellow. So I had 5 of these made. They were like, a few bucks to add them to the order. Tried them. I'm not happy with them. So let me move the camera down here a little bit, try to get it in such a way where we can maybe visualize this a little better here. So let me get it centered. So again, here's the MPU. Here's the 6809E processor. Here's the 40-pin header, the factory header, we'll call it. And then here is the ROM board that has my adapter on it. So what we're able to do, what I would recommend is get yourself a Phillips screwdriver, loosen up the screws holding both the ROM board and the MPU. Just, again, I made these kind of to the ideal distance. Not every metal mounting plate is going to be identical. So if you leave them where the board has a little bit of wiggle room here, both on the MPU and the ROM board, makes it easier to go in. So I'm just going to take the standard adapter I showed you. And again, originally what I had on here is a ribbon cable plugs into this end, looped around here, and you end up with a ribbon cable, which again is still prone to failure. Heating, cooling, temperature cycles, all that cause these little friction fit connections to fail over time. This is a PCB, everything's soldered, so you basically set that on there. Plug it in. That's it. So let me go ahead and start the game here. I'll hit the power button and you'll see, let me move this camera real quick here. So you can see we're getting a nice carpet pattern, and this is Joust, by the way. Sorry, my hand's a little shaky. So there you can see it's working. So let me get this tripod back down so I don't make everybody nauseous. So there's mode 1, shut it off. And then again, to remove it, it's pretty straightforward. You just, again, you would have these bolted down, pull it off. And then the second one that I don't need to show you really powered up, but you plug that guy in, and then you have this center header here if we populate it. So you can use your clips from your oscilloscope, or like a little, these what they call easy hooks. So I can go in here and hook onto any of these pins and run them to my meter or scope or logic analyzer, that sort of thing. And then the third configuration, again, I'm going to swap out this ROM board here. Let me unplug the power. I'm going to pull the screws out just so I can show you. I'm going to put a original ROM board with the header on it. So this guy's coming off. Set him aside, and then I'm going to put one down here with an original ribbon cable on it. Maybe just put one screw in for now for the sake of showing you. Plug the power header back in over here, and then and again, this is the adapter here that I'm going to show you how this works. So what I would do is plug this in to that header like that. So just a standard ribbon cable, and then you loop this over, plug her into the MPU, and then you can see now I've got the that whole header row exposed, so I can easily get for testing all of the data. Through this 40 pin, there's all the address lines, the data lines. You've got all the stuff from the blitters, the halt messages, all kinds of traffic that goes back and forth between these two boards. And with this header here, you're easily able to expose those. So again, all three of those different configurations are all from this one pretty simple board, to be honest. A few components. Again, I've got the header here that plugs into the male header, and we've got the female one here. And then the other exposed headers, these are all the pins I bought are gold-plated pins, so you get real connectivity, real good. You don't have to worry about corrosion or oxidation on them. These come in 80-pin strips, so I just cut them in half, and I get the 240, or they come in 40 pin. I cut them in half, and I get the 2 rows of 20 out of them. So anyway, that's kind of the configuration. And again, this is hooked up here. I could switch over here so I could show you this thing boot up. Boy, that's my camera's kind of angled all of a sudden here. There we go. All systems go, and right into a track mode for Joust. And again, that's with that header running on it right now. So anyway, these will be available for sale. I think I had 50 of all the different boards made up, so we've got some availability on them. And that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching.